Nobody saw it coming, not the scouts, not the analysts, not even most of the coaches who watched him play in high school. A kid from Tyler, Texas, with a baseball player for a father and a fire in his eyes that nobody could quite explain. Patrick Mahomes was never supposed to be the greatest quarterback of his generation. He was supposed to be a project, a raw arm, a gamble. And yet here we are, watching one of the most extraordinary rises in the history of American football, a story so packed with pressure, brilliance, and sheer refusal to fail that it almost feels like something written in a movie script rather than lived out on real grass under stadium lights. This is the story of how Patrick Mahomes went from an overlooked teenager to the undisputed king of the NFL. And trust me, by the time we get to the end of this, you are going to understand exactly why people are already calling him the greatest of all time. Patrick Lavin Mahomes, who was born on September 17, 1995, in Tyler, Texas. His father, Pat Mahomes Sr., was a professional baseball pitcher who played in Major League Baseball for 11 seasons. Growing up around professional sports gave young Patrick an early education in what elite performance actually looks like up close. The discipline, the sacrifice, the mental toughness required to survive at the highest level. But having an athlete for a father also meant Patrick understood something important from a very young age. Talent alone is never enough. His father had the talent. He also had the career. And he showed his son every single day what it meant to put in the work when nobody was watching. At White House High School in Texas, Mahomes was a multi-sport athlete. He played football, baseball, and basketball, and he excelled at all three. His arm was already drawing attention, a cannon that could throw the ball distances that made coaches stop mid-sentence just to watch. But he was also a baseball prospect, and for a while, it genuinely was not clear which sport was going to claim him. When the Detroit Tigers selected him in the 2014 MLB draft in the 37th round, the choice became very real. He could have walked away from football entirely. He chose Texas Tech instead, and in doing so, he chose a path that would eventually rewrite NFL history. At Texas Tech, Mahomes played under head coach Cliff Kingsbury in an air raid system that put the ball in his hands constantly. The numbers he put up were staggering. In his sophomore year in 2015, he threw for 4,653 yards and 36 touchdowns, according to Sports Reference College statistics. His junior year was even more remarkable, minus 5,050 to passing yards, 41 touchdowns, and a completion percentage that left scouts genuinely confused about how to categorize him. A game against Oklahoma in 2016 saw him throw for 734 yards, a number so absurd that people assumed it was a typo. It was not. That performance remains one of the highest single-game passing yardage totals in college football history. But despite those numbers, the skeptics were loud. They said the air raid system inflated his stats. They said he would struggle in a pro-style offense. They said his mechanics were unconventional, and they were right about that last part. Mahomes threw from angles that quarterbacks were not supposed to throw from. Sidearm, off his back foot. While spinning away from pressure, the NFL establishment looked at that and saw risk. The Kansas City Chiefs looked at it and saw something else entirely. The Chiefs traded up in the 2017 NFL Draft to select Mahomes with the 10th overall pick. They gave up a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and a future first-round pick to move up and get him, as documented in NFL.com draft records. It was a significant investment for a player who many analysts still considered a developmental prospect. General manager Brett Veach and head coach Andy Reid believed they were getting something special. What they got was something historic. Mahomes sat behind veteran quarterback Alex Smith for his entire rookie season, watching, learning, and studying the NFL from the sideline. It was a year that tested his patience but sharpened his understanding of the game at the professional level. When the Chiefs traded Alex Smith to Washington before the 2018 season, the job was officially Mams's. What followed was one of the greatest debut seasons in NFL quarterback history. He threw for 5,097 yards and 50 touchdowns against only 12 interceptions, per Pro Football Reference. He became just the second quarterback ever to throw 50 touchdown passes in a single season, joining Peyton Manning in a club that had stood untouched for 14 years. He was named the NFL Most Valuable Player at just 23 years old, becoming the youngest quarterback to win the award since Dan Marino. The NFL world, which had been cautiously optimistic about him, suddenly realized it was watching something extraordinary unfold in real time. But numbers, as impressive as they are, do not fully capture what makes Mams different. What separates him is what happens when things go wrong, when the game plan breaks down, when the pocket collapses, when his team is down by multiple scores with minutes left on the clock. This is where Mams becomes something that defies easy explanation. He has an almost supernatural ability to extend plays, to buy time with his legs, to find receivers in coverage windows that other quarterbacks simply do not see. His processing speed, the rate at which he reads a defense and makes a decision, has been described by former NFL coaches and analysts on programs like the Pat McAfee Show as among the fastest they have ever evaluated. And the throws that come out of nowhere from angles that defy biomechanical logic, with velocity and accuracy that make defensive backs look like they are standing still. These are not highlight reel moments that happen once in a career. They happen almost every single game. If you are watching this and you have not subscribed yet, do it right now, because we are just getting to the part where Patrick Mahomes becomes a legend, and you do not want to miss a single second of what is coming next. Hit that subscribe button and keep watching, because this story is only getting bigger from here. The 2019 season brought challenges. A dislocated kneecap in Week 4 kept him out for 2 games and raised serious questions about whether the Chiefs could protect their franchise player. He came back. Of course, he came back. And when the playoffs arrived, he led Kansas City to Super Bowl 54 against the San Francisco 49ers. The Chiefs were down 20-10 in the fourth quarter. Most teams in that situation fold. Most quarterbacks in that situation play not to lose. Mams played to win. He engineered one of the most electric Super Bowl comebacks in recent memory, throwing for 286 yards and 2 touchdowns in the final quarter alone. Kansas City won 31-20. Patrick Mahomes, at 24 years old, was a Super Bowl champion and the youngest Super Bowl MVP in NFL history, a fact confirmed by ESPN's official Super Bowl records coverage. What followed over the next several years was a sustained dominance that removed any remaining debate about where Mahomes belonged in the conversation about the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Super Bowl LV was a painful loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game where the offensive line collapsed and Mahomes was under relentless pressure all night. It was the kind of loss that breaks some players. It made Mahomes more determined. He spent the offseason studying, training, and working with a rebuilt offensive line. Super Bowl 57 in February of 2023 against the Philadelphia Eagles saw him playing through a high ankle sprain, limping visibly between plays, and still delivering enough to win his second championship. The Kansas City Chiefs won 38-35. Mahomes was named Super Bowl MVP for the second time. According to the Associated Press, no quarterback had ever won multiple Super Bowl MVPs before the age of 30 in NFL history. Mahomes had just done it at 27. Then came Super Bowl 58 in February of 2024 against the San Francisco 49ers in Las Vegas. It went to overtime. The entire country watched as Mahomes, once again in a high-stakes moment with everything on the line, led the Chiefs down the field and won in overtime. making Kansas City the first team in NFL history to win back-to-back Super Bowls since the New England Patriots did it in 2003 and 2004, 3 Super Bowl rings. 3 Super Bowl MVP awards, 2 NFL MVP awards. According to StatHead and Pro Football Reference, Mahomes had already accumulated more postseason touchdown passes in his career than any other quarterback through his first 7 NFL seasons. What makes the Mahomes story resonate beyond football statistics is what it says about the nature of belief and persistence. He was never the consensus #1 prospect. He was never handed anything. He sat on a bench for a full year before getting his chance. He played through injuries that would have ended other seasons. He lost a Super Bowl and came back more focused. He watched teams design entire defensive schemes specifically to stop him, and he adapted. Every time the football world thought it had figured out Patrick Mahomes, he showed a new dimension of his game that nobody had seen before. The no-look pass, the touch throw over the middle while scrambling left. The ability to diagnose a coverage adjustment in under a second and get the ball out to exactly the right spot. These are not things you can fully coach. These come from somewhere deeper, from a combination of natural ability, extraordinary preparation, and an almost pathological refusal to accept defeat. His influence has also extended beyond the field in ways that previous generations of NFL quarterbacks rarely managed. His role in bringing Kansas City its most successful sustained period in franchise history has transformed the city in ways that go well beyond football. The Kansas City Star has documented how each deep playoff run generates enormous economic activity across the region, with local businesses and the broader economy feeling the ripple effects of sustained championship success. He is not just a quarterback, he is a civic institution. And still, at the time of this video, he is only in his late 20s. The records he has already set, the championships he has already won, the moments he has already delivered, they belong to a career that, by most historical standards, is barely halfway complete. If he plays at this level for another 5 to 7 years, the conversation about where he ranks all time will not be a conversation at all. It will simply be a statement. The greatest quarterback in the history of professional football. The kid from Tyler, Texas, who was supposed to be a baseball player, who sat on a bench his entire rookie year, who came back from a dislocated kneecap and a Super Bowl loss and every other thing the sport threw at him, and who turned every single obstacle into fuel for something greater. Patrick Mahomes did not rise because the path was easy. He rose because he refused to stop climbing when it got hard. That is the story. That is the legacy. And if you have watched this far, you already understand why this is only the beginning. If this kind of storytelling is what you are here for, make sure you are subscribed to the Inventor Realm, because we are just getting started, and the next one is going to be even bigger. Drop a comment below and tell us who you want to see covered next. We read every single one.